Just start over. Just start over.
No, that's a good... Saying to start over is a good start. I'm sitting here, just sitting at the computer, and I hear from you, you better pick up that shit, asshole. And I'm like, what did I do this time?
I said old man. I didn't say one. Maybe did I say asshole? I don't know what I said. I don't know what I said.
Yes, you said, you better pick up that shit, asshole. And you're like, I was like, what? He's like, you're like, that old man.
Can we hire someone to be a stenographer for us and just follow us around? And
like on Judy Justice?
Right, and just take notes of everything that we say. And we, what did I say to him?
It makes me so sad. That would be so dangerous. But it makes me so sad that Judy Justice is only watched by people who are like 70 and up, and us and Colin, by force. Because
I was about to say, Colin doesn't watch it. We make him watch it to discuss it with us.
The sad part is there's so many potential memes, and you could just imagine like one of those like 120,000 like tweets or something that's saying like, this bitch always knows the tea, and it's just this court stenographer like typing away at her typewriter and smiling and nodding. Like, there was so much meme potential.
If we had a court stenographer following us around, we'd have to pay them hazard pay. The amount of stuff that he or she or it or they or whatever...
We're not having a Chinese court stenographer.
Anything like... I mean, they'd have to sign an NDA. They'd have to, not tell where the bodies are buried.
Can we talk about...
I'm sitting there digging a hole in the beach to dump some dead body, and you're over there, frolicking in your onesie and getting in the water, and the stenographer's like...
She's like, I can't keep up. It really would be Baby Jane. Mm-hmm. Like, it's you dragging a body across the beach, and me also in the Betty Davis outfit going,
I sent a letter to Daddy.
And then you, like actual Joan Crawford on the set, drinking vodka out of a flask at 10 o'clock in the morning. That's about right.
We wouldn't do it at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, but no one's on the beach at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Well, no, more like 6 o'clock in the morning.
That's early. No. You cannot bury a body at the beach at 6 o'clock in the morning because you have those weird people who are like, I run on the beach every single day. Ugh, my doctor says it's good for me. Those pieces of shit. And they're all very observant. If they see one person of color on the beach at 6 o'clock in the morning, that person is detained and extradited immediately. They do not fuck around. And the reason why I know that is the entire time we have been near the beach, I have been there in the morning, I think, once. And it was one of those things where I was like, oh, I could be one of those people. I could walk on the beach or by the beach or to the beach, and isn't it just lovely and all this shit? And I saw that there was the bench that is at the lookout point, had a little bit of graffiti on the side, and this old couple walked by, and she was like, Harold, take a picture of this. He's like, I'm already calling it in. And they, like, that graffiti was gone within hours. So those people, are you kidding? If you were out there dragging a potato sack, like, with legs sticking out, they'd be on you like flies on shit. Like the shit that man almost left on our doorstep until I yelled at him to pick it up. He didn't hear you. The door's... Oh, my God. Did I ever tell you... Okay, this is completely related but also off topic.
What else is new from you?
I've never told you the story, I think. One of my dad's best friends was a guy named Keith. He was a really funny guy.
Not the one who drank your wine?
No, that's a different one. That was our neighbor. Keith would... He was the one where he tossed all the beets of a salad on a plate, just threw it across the table. He was like, just beat it. But when I was really young,
so stupid.
I was like a baby. And so I got told the story afterwards. I wasn't old enough to remember.
You were ever a baby? I don't believe it.
An adult baby. So Keith, for some reason, and with no context, left a bag of flaming shit on the doorstep of our house as a prank. And instead of my dad finding it, my mom found it. And she panicked. Was like, what the fuck is this? And they just have a bag of shit with this big, like, tall entryway just, like, going on fire before the... So she had to go out there, like, get, like, the fire extinguisher and then throw water on it. And she was so upset.
Well, see, I always thought the whole point of flaming bags of shit is that if you see it, like, it's your gut reaction to stomp on it because you're wanting to stomp out the fire. because it's usually, you know, a small amount. So you're trying to stomp out the fire, and then you step in shit. Like,
Right.
that's the whole point of the joke.
I
And
never
so
knew that.
that's what I assumed. I don't know. I don't play
But it
pranks.
makes sense.
I don't do shit like that. I've never done a prank like that, or any prank ever.
Your voice goes up 1 octave when you're lying.
That was not an octave, but okay.
Okay, 1 half octave. Like, you're like Mariah here. Like, it's like, you know, you normally talk like this. I haven't done a prank. I would never do something like that. You're just ignorant.
I'm too good and moral for that.
God, we're going to get struck down in the middle of doing this podcast. So I have leftover top.
Really quickly, I found out, as I shared with you this morning, that we have, or no, yesterday morning, excuse me.
I don't know what day it is.
I don't know what day it is either.
It's Monday.
I shared with you yesterday. Yes, I shared with you yesterday that we apparently have another fan that I can now, you know, deduce and figure out who it is. Well, I'm not going to say his name on the podcast, but he knows who he is. And
Another man?
I'm saying hello.
We need women listeners.
Well, no, but you know, we have Colin, who, you know, is our. He lists, honestly, by now he listens out of pity. Like, he's like,
I know he has a little bit of a commute, so I think it's out of boredom and pity. And also, he's basically the third member of this podcast. Like, let's be fucking real.
yeah.
Like,
Well, he listens to us for good, for bad, for ugly, for worse, and
Yes.
all of that in between. But we have someone else now, apparently, who has never missed an episode and appreciates us. So
I remember you telling me this, but I forgot who it was.
we are growing. We are growing our demographic and our, well, not even our demographic. It's the same almost demographic. We are growing our listenership one person at a time.
We're extremely slow. Oh, I know who it is. Yes, he's very nice, and I'm looking forward to meeting him. So yes, I remembered who it was. I was gonna say we need female listeners, but
You denigrate women so much. At least I take up for them because I basically am a woman in some regards.
well, Mrs. Doubtfire. But so on that note, I'm so bad at marketing this podcast to women because my cousin's wife was like, "Oh, you guys do a podcast? What is it?" And then I just sent her the link. I was like, "This is the latest episode, and we're at dinner." And it was something like the
one where you talked about anal leakage,
And it's in the
because I
title.
gave you anal leakage and I didn't.
I guarantee she never has listened to this, and I don't blame her. Because if I got a link to something and it said anal leakage, I wouldn't click it. And I'm sure that she was just humoring me. And I wish that it was one of our more like I don't know if we've ever had a PG episode, but one of our more like family
distinguished episodes.
something where she could at least put it on in the truck with the kids in the backseat or something.
Don't
like
do
that.
that.
We
Never
don't have
do that.
No,
Never
no.
do that.
So it was not. Whenever every time I have to upload one to YouTube, I have to click. No, it's not made for kids.
Right. Well, it's not family friendly, and we never pretend to be. And
It's not anyone friendly. It's not friendly at any age. Unfriendly at every age.
we just hate everyone.
Unsafe at every speed.
I'm
That's
sorry.
our
I shouldn't
podcast.
speak for you. I hate everyone equally.
Except for Colin.
Did I tell you that story? I don't think I ever told you that story.
No.
So my mother was a high school teacher, for her career, and she
No one does
taught.
it for fun, so of course it's a career.
She taught in Catholic high schools predominantly, but one year she taught at a Catholic high school that was very mixed in its racial makeup. So there are quite a few prominently middle-class black families who sent their kids to the school. And one time, I don't even remember exactly what happened, but this black student, I think it was male, he did not get the outcome that he wanted, basically.
Right.
He wanted something and he didn't get it. And so he said to my mother in front of the entire class, "Oh, you just hate me because I'm black." And my mother said, I stopped, I turned around, and I looked at him in front of everyone and said, "I resent that. I am a teacher. I am a human. I have the right to hate every race equally." And she turned around and walked away. And you know what? I can appreciate that. I hate everyone equally. I don't care what color you are. I don't care who you vote for. I hate everyone equally.
I had a teacher like that. She was our AP Comp teacher, and she hated everyone. Unless you were very good. If you were good, then she would just push you to be better. But she was the one who, she's like, everybody write an essay. I'm like, what? It's like the first day of class. Like, everyone write an essay. So we all wrote an essay. She came out and she was like, she would walk down the aisle and she was like, gimme. So she picked up one in front of somebody. I think it was my friend Blake's, who was one of those people who is extremely intelligent, but in a way that's entirely detrimental to him because he will find out the easiest way to do anything. So he will never achieve anything because he's just like, I'm
lazy.
I'm completely lazy, but very quick mentally. Like, he needs to be like in a special program for those kinds of people. She picked up his, she was like, she read the first sentence, she was like, I said to write an essay, not crap. Ripped it. Next one, picks up, rips it. And she's like, my goal at the end of this year is that each one of you can write. I know that not all of you will because I've been teaching for 28 years and I've never had that result, but I still have hope. And I was like, first of all, even at that time I was like, gay icon. Like, she was camp. She was camp.
So you met me even before you knew me.
I did. If you had a bottle of Clairol red hair dye, you would be Miss Kyer, who, by the way, still follows me on Instagram, and I have no idea why, because I'm extremely upsetting. Let me see if you can see her. She is still very much with us.
At your age, I doubt it.
Against all that is, and it's so funny because like the shitty kids in gossip, Miss Kyer, why didn't you get married or something like that? She's like, the right man has not come along yet, and that made me think like, oh man, but you know, I don't know. What does this say to you?
Oh God,
I know, like Caroline Monzo with red hair.
I mean, no one else can see this, but maybe you'll put that as our logo.
In our Disney, no, that'd be so horrible.
No, but similarly, in a kind of a scary teacher vibe, we had a calculus teacher. So I took calculus AP as a senior.
AB or BC?
AB.
Oh.
Calculus AB AP. Oh. AP, whatever.
AP calculus.
Yes.
I took it. It was so hard.
It was. I thought it was easy, but
so you can do math.
Yes, I'm
not
very
gay.
good. I'm very good at math. Mainly because of this woman. So this woman, this teacher, she is all of 4'10",
yes,
in an all boys Catholic school, and she is feared yet respected, and not feared as in like we hated her, like we all loved her and would like kill for her. But the first day of the AP calculus class, she walked in and said, I have been teaching this class for 25 years. I have never had a student not make a perfect 5 on the AP exam, and you will not be the first.
Oh my God.
We're going to get to work. And I was like, crossing myself, saying my Hail Marys and Our Fathers, and I'm like, I can't fuck this up. I can't fuck this up.
Do you know how hard it was to get a 5 on that
We
test?
all did.
How?
I got a 5. I got a 5, bitch.
I think I got a 3 on that test. Like,
I didn't have to take any math in college.
I got like I showed up on that test. Like I did not.
There were always 12 or 13, depending on whom she liked, kids in that class. So 12 to 13 for 25 years, none of them ever got below a 5.
So she had, that was like a third of our class size though.
Right.
That class.
But
that's why she was good.
Right. But at this school, they didn't just let anyone in who wanted to take it.
Oh.
You had to prove yourself, and you had to be basically approved by a certain group of teachers.
So did you take an exam, or was this your past performance?
It was past performance. So all my previous teachers had to say, yes, we think he has the aptitude to be in this class. And then she had to, verify that. So the other interesting thing is everyone in the AP classes in my high school, they paid for our exams. So I didn't have to pay the fee.
Oh, so your exams were subsidized. That's like $70, $80
so
for free.
The students who were in the calculus honors class, not the AP class,
right,
they could take the AP exam if they wanted to, but they had to pay the fee. And some of them got 4s and 3s, and because they had another teacher. But everyone in my class
got a 5. So you got a 5 on that.
Yes,
that's impressive. Cheers to that, because I know
that was over a decade ago.
I know I didn't.
Did you take it?
I did. I think I got a 3. Maybe I got a 4, but I did not get a 5.
3?
I did not get a 5.
I got a 4 on the biology AP exam, and I had a terrible teacher.
I got a 5 on the biology exam.
I
had a mentally insane teacher. You know, I told you the one that fell asleep, and I thought he was dead.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, him. We had 3. It's funny. In our high school, we had 3 science teachers. As we're just rambling about
no
when
one
I was
cares.
in high school. Even
Everyone listening, I apologize. No one cares.
It's like when it's like in Casino when the FBI is like wiretapping somebody, and then after a few minutes when they realize it's boring and not about anything that's like crime related, they have to switch off. Like Colin has switched off, and I don't blame him. I would too, but we had 3. Okay, so our science department in our high school, for some reason, was dominated by Armenian teachers. So we had 3 Armenian teachers, and they were all like...
Not Turkish?
Not like the coffee. They were like 3 of the 7 dwarves. One was...
Which one?
Well...
Sleepy? Clearly.
Gay.
That's not a dwarf.
In the new Disney adaptation... I think
Snow White did not have a gay dwarf.
I could tell
at
by
her
that
beck and
outfit,
call.
by that outfit, or pilgrim ass outfit, and hippie. So we had sleepy, hippie, and gay. The gay one,
gay-y.
The gay one. Here's the thing. I think that he was basically imagine a rounder Leslie Jordan. Rest in peace.
Same height?
Yes.
Oh God.
Same height and Armenian. So he has this little pug face. Gray hair, and he was...
So Danny DeVito?
But gay. Mr. Troitani, he'd be like, so welcome to my class. We're going to learn physics, and then I know the really handsome guys are sitting here by the projector. Like, old school gay. But he had a wife, and apparently a kid. I don't know. I didn't ask questions. He did AP Physics, which I dropped out of because it was way too hard.
Well, yeah. No one should take AP Physics.
Except the real autistics.
But... So this is interesting. So the same year, my senior year, I had AP Calculus with this 4'10" woman. Literally, I'm not exaggerating. She was literally 4'10"
with Mrs. Mussolini.
And then my physics class, I took physics honors with Mr. Solig. Rest in peace. He's now gone. Oh. He actually wasn't that old. He died of a heart attack, but he was 7 feet tall.
Oh,
he had to duck to get into a room. He was the one who, if a student was too rowdy, would say, get out of the classroom. And then as they were leaving, say, like, don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. Like, this kind of bullshit.
When you're 7 feet tall, you can command a certain kind of respect.
He's also
Especially
the one.
as a teacher.
He's also the one that gave us. Okay, you've heard the phrase. This is an AB conversation. See your way out. He gave us the updated version, the culturally appropriate version. This is a taco burrito conversation, nachos.
Oh, God.
And I almost died of embarrassment when I heard him say that, because I was like, you are a 7 foot tall year old man from Virginia.
7 foot tall year old?
Sorry.
Are we measuring by feet high like a horse? I
forgot the age. 7 foot tall, 50-year-old man from Virginia who barely knows physics. Yet is teaching physics honors. And
now is dead.
Pulls this culturally appropriated Mexican shit out of your ass. But yeah, now he's dead. So.
Were there many Mexicans?
No.
When you went to school?
No.
Where you went to school?
I was in South Louisiana. There are no Mexicans in South Louisiana.
I was going to say, it's the one place that Mexicans haven't touched yet.
There's a bunch of Catholics, a bunch of...
You would think...
white, and then a bunch of black.
It's very black and white.
It is.
Are there any, like, random immigrant populations where it's like... But the Sri Lankans have really taken over here.
Nope.
I feel like it's the one place they haven't... Well, you had Bobby Jindal as a governor. That was weird.
No, it was, because there's not a big Indian population, in the city or state.
But what is it with Republican Indian governors in states where
Indians are prominently Republican in this country?
But there is a negligible population, like Louisiana or like South Carolina with Nikki Haley. Why? That's a weird phenomenon.
I don't know. Why are you bringing this up now? Why do I have to think about this now?
That just came to mind, and I'm like, okay, why would you? Because they were both part of the same, like, oh, young guns in the Republican Party, like, they're gonna take over the future. They both flop since, but
I have to say though, to his credit, Bobby Jindal was entering the governorship at a pivotal time, and he did everything that he promised he would do, which is he balanced the budget, and a lot of people didn't like that, and he did not get he did not get voted in again,
right,
because he had to cut a lot of things in order to balance the budget, and people were like, "Oh, I can't believe you cut that." We need to, like, the state needed to make money, and it wasn't happening, so he had to cut the things that he could.
Right, the state can't be insolvent.
And for what it's worth, to his credit, the Louisiana Constitution says you can cut funding, the governor and the legislature can cut funding to everything except education and healthcare.
Oh.
I don't know why they thought it was wise to put in the Constitution that these two things, if you increase the funding, you can never decrease it.
Oh.
But it's caused a problem in the state.
I was going to say, is that like a Reconstruction leftover?
I don't know.
Because that's a strange thing of like...
It's incredibly strange. It is one of the only states in the country whose constitution says that, or something to that effect. It's one of the only states in the constitution. Sorry, it's one of the only states in the country whose constitution says anything about where you can and cannot, add and subtract funding.
Or say anything about education or healthcare, period.
So, I mean, I could be. If someone wants to fact check me, I'm pretty sure that's what is the case. Or
why was Bobby Jindal not a bigger player?
I might have had that backwards. Maybe it was education where education might have been the only place where they could cut funding. But the whole point is there are certain areas where the Constitution says in Louisiana you cannot cut funding. If you've increased funding, you cannot then decrease it. So you never should increase is basically the point.
But that leads me to a topic that I had on the list. In Wisconsin, Governor Evers, who is much reviled amongst our friends in Wisconsin, and rightfully so, was very strict on lockdowns. It's like
friends, people we know in Wisconsin. People we know in Wisconsin.
Aaron's a friend.
Okay, so friend. I have a friend in Wisconsin.
I have an enemy in Wisconsin, apparently, but I also have a friend. And
I have two enemies in Wisconsin.
You don't have two enemies in Wisconsin.
Actually, I have three.
You only have two enemies in Wisconsin.
I have three.
That's going to probably be the title list. Two enemies in Wisconsin. I want to get to a Bobby Jindal thing, but I want to cover this really quick. Did you hear about how Governor Evers crossed through a date in a line as a line item veto in a thing? It said 2024 to 2025 budget. He crossed out the 20s, so it said 24-25. So it said education funding will increase at a certain percent, like 3%, until 24-25. The year 24-25. Yes, it was national.
Was that on purpose?
Apparently, yes.
Like he made those
yes.
marks on purpose to... Okay.
Yes.
And did he give a reason why?
Apparently not. Let me look it up. Yes, vetoed in part. So it said, notwithstanding PAR and acceptance provided in subs, a school district cannot increase its revenues for the 2021 school year, 2023-24 school year, and 2024-25 school year in an amount that exceeds as follows. But 2024-25 became the year 2024-25. So a spending increase designated by the legislature to last for 2 years has become one designed by the governor to last for over 400 years. It means that the per pupil revenue will increase by 179 plus 146 until 2,425. And he did it on purpose.
I knew. Axios. Okay. Sorry. I knew I'd gotten it wrong.
What?
I'm sorry. As soon as I was saying the words and realizing what I was saying, it didn't make sense. Let me strike the record and say,
if only we had our ombudswoman.
no, if only I can go back and edit this.
Well,
I could technically. No.
Then it's gonna sound insane.
Shut up. To right my wrong, I was exactly the opposite. So the Louisiana State Constitution says you can cut funding from the budget everywhere. Sorry. You can cut funding from the budget only in education and healthcare.
So all other things have to increase?
Yes.
That's sick.
Because
That's unsustainable.
there is an article, if you'd like to read it, and I've read it several times. The Baton Rouge local newspaper is called The Advocate, which is not advocate like the gay shit.
I'm a fag enabler. Tell me what that is.
But the headline of this article is, "Here's why healthcare, higher ed so often take the brunt of Louisiana budget cuts."
So those are the only places
you can make substantial budget cuts.
But that's interesting. Well, I mean, they usually ranked 49th out of 50 in those out of states. But then I can understand where there's also supplemental things where it's like, well, this is not technically earmarked for education or healthcare, but we can go to this infrastructure.
But it's possibly the two most important things that a state can do for education for its future,
yes,
and healthcare to make sure you stay alive to make the future. Right. That's. I don't know what the reasoning was during the writing of the Constitution, but I really like to go back and say, what are you doing?
Well, speaking of education and healthcare especially, have you ever heard of Killer King Hospital in South Los Angeles?
No, why would I have?
I don't know. Well, so it was a big deal. So Martin Luther King Hospital opened up in the early 70s, and it was supposed to be the first South LA hospital that was hiring from the community for the community. So majority black, there were like 5 Mexicans. Majority black community in South LA. So you have Compton, Watts, like those neighborhoods. The LA Times put out a piece in 2007 talking about how horrible the hospital had the worst death rate of any hospital in the United States. And it also had the highest lawsuit rate among doctors and nurses against the hospital, saying, "Oh no, I slipped. I need 2 years paid, leave. Oh no, someone like literally like Looney Tunes style situations happening and people making $250,000." And then it had the highest rate of doctors showing up drunk to work and nurses. And so there's real stories of like this one girl went in because she fell off of her bike and 2 days later she was dead. Because in the hospital they put her on a pain medication, but for an adult size, and she was 6 years old, and it killed her.
Oh, okay.
So but they didn't even have measurements correct.
Right.
Like they said people would die in the hallways. A woman went in for a hysterectomy operation. It was routine and died. Like so, it had more patients that died. It was literally called Killer King. They razed the hospital to the ground after the LA Times investigation and rebuilt it as a brand new, like, state-of-the-art facility. But now they're complaining because the state of California, for Medicaid, if you are a insured patient in the state of California, you are worth $22,000 to the emergency room. If you are uninsured, you are worth $3,000 to the emergency room. And if you are state insurance, you're worth like $1,000 to the emergency room. So it's this really fucked up situation you've created for themselves. But this is why when you have to cover everyone for health care in the state, no one gets health care by result.
Right, and we won't get into the weeds in that, but isn't
it... But just as like an example, in the biggest state.
Is it national law that emergency rooms cannot turn away patients?
I believe so.
Because I know it was at least state law in Louisiana. The only reason I say that is because we had a charity hospital. We had a charity hospital called Earl K. Long, which is in its own way a sick joke because Earl K. Long, who was Huey Long's brother, literally went batshit insane, and they named a They named a charity hospital after him.
After someone who went to the psych ward? Oh, my God.
So I don't know why they thought that was a good idea. But anyway, they closed the charity hospital. And so the whole argument was, we need to close this because it's wasting a lot of money. And because we can cut funding to healthcare in Louisiana, we don't have the money anymore. And we don't feel so bad because by state law, an emergency room cannot turn away a patient if they can't pay.
Right.
So anyone who can't pay can still go to the emergency room if they need it. So, yeah. I don't know if that's a national law. That's the only reason I bring that up.
Because I think anywhere you're at, you can still go to the emergency room, regardless of, ability. And I think that's something they have to keep.
Well, yeah, no, it's absolutely...
If you're having a heart attack, it doesn't matter if
If someone's life is in jeopardy, yes, obviously, it should be law that you have to take care of them even if they can't pay.
And their life is in jeopardy again.
Well, you figure that out on the back end. Save their life first.
You figure it out on the back end. Okay, so for this Evers law, and I'll go to the next topic. So in the press release from Governor Evers' office in Evers, Evers, in Wisconsin, through the governor's veto, the budget provides per pupil revenue limit adjustment authority of $179 plus $146 for a total of $325 in each year from 2023-2024 until the year 2024-2025.
So over 400 years from now.
Yes. It literally says that is insane. So a future legislature will probably roll that back and be like, the old coot didn't know what was going on, but...
I want to hear the reasoning for it, though. I something tells me it was a mistake.
They put out a press release saying it was correct. Why not, though? Why not make a moonshot if you're governor and you're on the way out? I'm not saying it's right.
Talk about a legacy.
Oh, it's bad.
Well, no, a legacy that's going to last over 400 years.
Yeah.
Trump just wishes. No, I'm kidding.
Speaking of which, to kick open the door, he has been gaining in the polls lately to the point where, I wrote this, so people listening to this and following Carpe Forum, it was June 11th. I was having a text conversation which became a post talking about how, look, DeSantis is going to lose. It's over. Pack it in, you're done. You had bad advisors, you had bad advice. Probably shouldn't have run in the first place, and it's kind of falling apart. Since June 11th, there was the ad that was basically saying that Trump was too gay or too pro-trans or something. And
saying that calling him out as being too leftist and progressive for having a few gay people adore him.
And also the really sick part, one of my followers on Instagram or on Twitter, Wade, pointed out there was a clip in Trump's speech about the Pulse shooting in Orlando,
right?
And the DeSantis ad took that out of context to saying oh, look at Trump, he's pro-trans. When Trump is basically saying I'm not going to leave this community behind,
saying maybe we shouldn't condone slaughtering some people.
Exactly.
That's basically.
And they're well, DeSantis would, and so that was
okay.
After that, Christina Pushaw has been hiding in a hole. Apparently, DeSantis has fired staff
because money.
They're running out of money.
Has gone down,
and there's been, I think, for the past week or so, or 2 weeks, at least a piece every day in every major publication talking about how bad it is. It was bad for her. That's weird. But
the dog farted. Just so you're all, if you hear a noise in post production,
if you hear flaps opening, it's not mine. So with this DeSantis situation. Apparently he's doing a reset or something like this in the campaign. Look, anyone who's ever won the Republican nomination has not had to do a reset. Hillary did a reset in 2008 when she lost. I don't think Biden ever did a reset in 2020. Trump never had to do a reset. anyone who's won doesn't typically do a reset.
Well, it kind of looks bad.
John McCain had to do a reset, lost. So it's this very common thing among the losing primary candidates to say, oh, well, I'm going to fire a bunch of people and we're going to change our messaging and now we're going to do well. I'm sorry. Primaries in this country are very easy. If the voters don't like you, they just don't like you. You can't change that. Like, maybe come back in 4 years, but maybe not. Like, I don't think people understand the importance of nailing the first audition when you're running for president of the United States among the primaries in this country. You gotta nail the audition. You can't go back for a redo.
All right, I'm gonna make a metaphor here. What people also don't realize, especially within the Republican Party, Republicans don't forget. Elephants, Republicans don't forget.
Very true.
Gay Republicans will never forget and will hold your feet to the fire every time.
Yeah.
So if DeSantis, loses and decides he wants to come back in 28, there's still going to be a contingency of us who are going to be like, nope. Well, you fucked us once. Nope.
That's what people are saying, and it's like, here's the thing: if the day that video came out. Anyway, so to decide, cut over. June 11th, I had this post together. I posted it last week. It got a lot of response. It's called Why DeSantis Will Lose on bulletproofdiction.com.
Don't plug your shit.
I'm
just kidding.
It's on our same site.
I'm just kidding.
You're not.
No, I am.
We're
need
here
as many clicks as we can get.
We don't help.
Colin, click twice.
Colin's at like 3 different monitors, like opening in every browser that you can, opening it up,
and get your wife to click twice too.
Get everyone to click. Get everyone to click. Get your family to click. Get your brother and sister to click. Get everyone to click. No, this is what it comes down to. With DeSantis, you had I would say, I think at some point it was like a 79 to 85% approval rating among existing Trump voters, which is the majority of the Republican Party. Obviously, he's got the nomination twice now, and probably 3 times after this. Why would you incur the opposite of goodwill among people where you have a nearly 80% approval rating? The only person I know of who's ever done that in recent history was George W. Bush. He blew it. But why would you think that this is a good idea? To A, run against him in the first place, B, run against him and make it a combative primary. Well, I didn't have mass in Florida, but he did. And Dr. Fauci gave Dr. Fauci a big kiss in this AI-generated photo I had. I'm like, why would you do that? And then C, why would you shit on the gay Republicans, the LGBT, even Q? There's probably a few Qs. Why would you shit on the LGBT Republicans who helped get Trump elected by saying, look, this guy doesn't give a fuck about gay issues, ended up appointing people to the Supreme Court who expanded gay rights and trans rights for the first time in recent history? Why would you do that?
It needs to be very clear that, number one, it's stupidity because from 2016 to 2020, Trump doubled, and went into double digits, frankly, his gay support.
Yes. Got more gay votes than any Republican
candidate. To go from 6% to 12% is a huge fucking deal. You broke 10%. That's a big deal.
Among the most fickle demographic.
And the most politically loyal demographic.
Right.
He also doubled, or not doubled, but he also increased his black contingency as well. Yes. But if you're DeSantis and you come into this race knowing that Trump helped, increase the Republican Party, their reach toward, LGBT people, Why would you shit on that? Why would you like take an entire block of your voting base and just be like, we don't need you? You kind of do.
In fact, actively saying, by the way, especially some of the Twitter response from some of those DeSantis people is, oh yeah, we don't need you. That's horrible. Whoever you
not
are,
only is it
you
horrible,
should fight for every vote.
Not only is it horrible, but it's actively stupid because
Yes.
who rules social media?
Gays.
The gays.
Who gives money
They
to the
will-
Republican Party and maxes out their number? Gays.
I think the pivotal point that you brought up is he shot himself in the foot by running in the first place.
Yes.
You
You could have overcome that, but not anymore.
I thought, and I think you thought too, he should have waited until 2028 anyway.
Yes.
Because you are in a bad position going into 2024 knowing that you have to take some of Trump's base
Yes.
if you have any chance of, getting a nomination. And in order to do that, you have to paint him as an inept bad guy. But at the same time, you kind of ran in Florida under his image of, I'm just like him, kind of. Right? So you are entering a literally losing battle.
You are. And if you're doing that, you need to be as nice to... If DeSantis did his campaign the right way, and this advice is free, unlike his paid influencers, you go in, you're very complimentary to Trump, and the only statement you make that could be construed as being against him is you say, but it's time for something new. And that makes him look old and out of touch. And you say, look, 2020 is in the rear view. We got to move forward. And here's why we have to move forward. And this is the stuff we have to move forward on. And these are the new issues. And this is, what's going on. Intellectual property and social media and your kids in school and all this boom, 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 AI. Like just be this candidate of the future. You could make Trump look shitty if you did that from, when was it? Like February until now. He didn't. He took the bait, and he goes around to these diners, these Dairy Queens that are empty, and waves around his arms in this autistic way, and just says these stupid things about, I'm hungry, and it's just like, you see him interact with people, he's terrible, and then his team puts out these nasty messages for all Trump supporters where they're like, not only am I not voting for you now, I'm not voting for you ever. And people have compared him to Scott Walker and Liz Warren, in the ineptitude in which he's approached the voters of his existing group. I almost think that DeSantis is approaching the Republican Party the way that Hillary did, where it's like, if you're not for me, you're not for anything. And that turned off a lot of people, and it lost her the election. It really did. Hillary had her camp and then everybody else. But some people in her camp were like, well, but Bernie makes some good points. But what about Obama and everything like that? She's like, okay, cut out of the message threads. Well, that's pretty nasty. And I'm sure that DeSantis is a very nice person one-on-one. She's very interesting and engaging. And I think it's the Hillary problem of when you see him just in public and talking to people, he just doesn't have it. It's sad. You gotta dance with the girl that brung you. And whether it's Club for Growth or a few influencers or some other people who already hated Trump to begin with trying to support you, if you're not even winning them over, you're not going to win over the people who you're now basically shitting on. And
I
by
want
the
to say...
way,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I know you said I want to say... Just to say, if Dave Rubin is the only gay that's working for you, it's pretty bad. And I can tell by looking at Casey DeSantis, who is actually running this campaign. She looks like a girl who never left prom. Have you seen the dresses? You can't shit on Disney and then get one of the cast members' dresses and walk out onto a stage. I don't know what kind of Filene's basement she found these outfits in. But obviously there are no gays dressing her in her bumpet. Anyway, continue.
I have very strong feelings about certain people who are in the DeSantis camp. I cannot talk about them yet.
I know.
God willing, one day I can open the floodgates and just
at this
say
rate,
what I
it might
want
be
to
very soon. You know, if it keeps
say. What I want to say.
Which is sad
But-
because there's people there who I respect and like very much. I've had wonderful conversations with. I really care about, and I feel like they got sucked up into it.
I have lost respect for some people that I did respect previously and that I helped previously. And again, the tea will come out eventually, but just not yet. But I don't want to say to his credit. I don't know the phrase I'm looking for, but to play sort of devil's advocate for DeSantis here is, well, it's not even that. He was entering a losing battle to begin with, because when you have a large contingency of this country and voting base on the Republican side who still feel, you know, despite whatever quote unquote proof or anything that has ever come out about the 2020 election, any, you know, this fraud, that fraud did exist, whatever. You still have a large population in this country who believe that Trump was cheated.
Yes.
And they want to give him another shot at it.
Yes.
If you are entering a race where you know that you have people who are trying to right what they believe to be a wrong, you're entering a losing battle. Like, all of these people who entered the race should have known they're entering a losing battle. He was going to be the nominee from the get-go. Unless something really, really bad happened or happens, which being indicted on crimes is just about as bad as it could have been.
And he's not.
Yet he still hasn't lost.
Yes. That
support.
has 0% effect on his polling. In fact, it gave him an increase. The only woman or the only candidate who's played it right is Nikki Haley. She has refused to actually criticize him, and the only argument she's made is age. That's fine. Okay, you're old. I'm younger. Okay, that's a good thing to make. And Tim Scott has declined to criticize Trump, and
But I think
Ramaswamy
right.
has also been relatively. But
the
rest are
two,
very stupid.
The two most popular, taking DeSantis out of this, the two most popular being the two you just named, Haley and Scott. I think they got into this just because they wanted some type of higher position.
Of course.
Cabinet, vice president, something.
That's why Haley, in the first place, was like, okay, I'm UN ambassador. Tim Scott, look, he's been fundraising this whole time. He gets one or two billionaires involved. It's over.
By the way, the RNC has redone the qualifications to qualify for the debates.
Is it 40,000 individual donors? Something like that.
Yes, but then there's something on top of that. But basically, it's looking like Pence is not even going to be able to make the debates.
That would be so funny.
It's kind of sad.
Here's the problem.
I mean, he deserves it, but it's kind of sad.
Well, here's the thing. In American politics, if you were the vice president for the previous president and there is an election again, typically you would run. Usually it's when the previous president has died or termed out. Trump did neither. Pence is now running as part of the Ukraine coalition. And
the good old boy Rhino Republicans.
Exactly. Which is sad because now this is going to blow your mind. Around the time before he was Indiana governor, Pence was known as this guy who was like a young, smart rebel, like strong on immigration. Like he was like back in like 2006, 7. I thought that he would run then. And I was kind of interested. Like even Coulter talked about like he was like this like up and coming guy. He blew it. He was governor of Indiana and he was very close with Fauci on HIV, prevention and stuff like that. And then he was vice president, and then he blew it at the one moment that mattered. And all he had to do was file an objection to the state legislatures filing their votes, and he could have satisfied the Trump supporters and also satisfied the people who were upset at him because he was just stepping in as the vice president in that
Because
situation.
some court would have ruled against him or overturned
He's
or
like,
something.
I'm sorry, it's the court. I did everything I
Right.
could. Trump would be nice to him. Everyone
shot
would be
himself
fine.
in the foot.
And it's hard when who is going to reward disloyalty? Whether you're DeSantis, Pence, any of his previous cabinet members, or even Christie, who I guess was a Trump supporter for a period of time, who is going to reward a disloyal actor? No one.
I forgot about him. No, Christie has made the debates according to the new rules.
So 40,000 people gave $1 to Chris
Christie has made it over Pence. That's really sad.
That's really sad.
It's really sad.
But in the piece, I was like, the only person I can liken DeSantis to of this brash outsider in charge of a state who everything like this, and hates the media and is fighting with teachers and stuff like that, is Christie. DeSantis is Christie again from Christie in 2012.
Well,
it's sad, but it is what it is.
you know what's really sad?
What?
The amount of people who need to go fuck themselves.
Oh, there's 2,425.